Good evening. I'm Keisha Butts with a CTV News update. Like many of us, Dorothy Elliott of Prince George's County followed the Derek Chauvin murder trial. Elliott is the mother of Archie Elliott, the 24-year-old Prince George's man who was shot 14 times in June 1993 by police as he sat handcuffed and belted in a police cruiser. No one was ever charged. Dorothy Elliott was in her car when the Chauvin verdict came down.
I heard it on the radio. I screamed so loudly and I said, thank God, he's guilty on all charges. And that's the way it should have been. It should have been guilty. And you know what bothers me too is that why is the state trying to protect Chauvin at this point? Nobody protected George Floyd. So why can't he be in that population with all the other prisoners? Why are they trying to worry about his safety when they didn't worry about George Floyd's safety?
Elliott has started a college scholarship fund in honor of her son. The family of Anton Black, the young man who died while in police custody, is criticizing Maryland Attorney General Brian Frosh over legal action his office recently took. The Attorney General has filed a motion to dismiss a lawsuit filed by the family, which claims the medical examiner tried to cover up the cause of Black's death. The lawsuit includes former Chief Medical Examiner Dr. David Fowler, who testified for the defense in the Derek Chauvin case. The family accuses him of covering up for police who pinned the 19-year-old to the ground. The MA ruled Black's death an accident caused by a heart condition. In other news, a hotel worker is shot in Landover Hills while responding to a noise complaint. Prince George's police say an employee at the Holiday Inn Express went to a person's room to check on the complaint around 12:30 this morning. That's when he was shot. The worker was transported to a hospital and is in stable condition. Officers made an arrest but have not released additional details. No other injuries were reported. Maryland continues to expand walk-up, no-appointment COVID-19 vaccinations. Governor Larry Hogan announced a series of initiatives to reach out to all eligible residents called No Arm Left Behind. 6 mass vaccination sites, including the one at Greenbelt Metro Station, are expanding opportunities for Marylanders to get the shot.
We are launching a series of new No Arm Left Behind initiatives, which will involve every state agency, private industries, and in every demographic in an all-hands-on-deck effort to make sure that every Marylander who wants a vaccine can get access to one as quickly as possible. State health officials are partnering with the Maryland Higher Education Commission to conduct direct outreach to all campuses in the state. And we're blocking off and reserving appointments at mass vaccination sites specifically for college and university students, including reserving slots at the Greenbelt FEMA site specifically for students at College Park.
The Maryland Health Department is reporting about 1,200 new COVID-19 cases today. That brings the total case count to nearly 440,000. The agency, meantime, is reporting an additional 20 deaths today. The statewide death toll is nearly 8,500. A longtime Prince George's pastor and civil rights leader has passed away. For 52 years, Reverend Perry Smith served as the pastor of North Brentwood Baptist Church. Smith, who came to the area from Mississippi and graduated from Howard University, was the second president of the Prince George's chapter of the NAACP. He took part in the Freedom Rides in 1961, as well as the March from Selma to Montgomery.
We must remember people like Perry Smith. It's the same way we do Martin Luther King. So he would be locally our Martin Luther King in that sense. People like him, right? People like Hester King would be our Fannie Lou Hamer. You see my point? They are our local heroes that gives us historical meaning, where we came, gives us an understanding of where we came from and how we got over to be where we are and have the opportunity to go forward.
Reverend Smith passed away last Friday. He was 87 years old. You're watching CTV News. I'm Keisha Butts. We'll be back in a moment.
For the latest information on COVID-19 in Maryland, visit the State Health Department website. That's health.maryland.gov. Again, health.maryland.gov. Click the link to the COVID-19 information portal. There you'll find all the latest information about coronavirus. You'll find daily updates on cases and fatalities. Answers to questions about testing and the governor's stay-at-home order are available as well. For specific information about Prince George's, visit princegeorgescountymd.gov. That's princegeorgescountymd.gov. The site offers information about local services for residents and businesses. There's a link for COVID-19 relief donations. Also, food pantry locations are listed. And if you have any questions, call the county COVID-19 hotline at 301-883-6627. That's 301-883-6627.
Welcome back. A new work group that will review pandemic-related spending will begin meeting in May. The panel, which will be led by Comptroller Peter Franchot, will analyze how federal funds were spent, if the money went to intended recipients, and whether any disparities exist. The group will also investigate possible predatory fraud and pandemic profiteering. Franchot will chair the work group, which is composed of members of his office. The library system has seen a steady number of requests for assistance since the launch of its Vaccine Hunter hotline. As we reported earlier this month, the hotline was created on April 1st to help residents book vaccine appointments. Library officials say the hotline has assisted 475 residents in scheduling appointments. Another 250 individuals were placed on pre-registration list. The hotline is available Monday through Friday at 240-392-3662. In other news, members of the U.S. House pass a bill that would make D.C. the 51st state, but the legislation faces tough opposition in the Senate. H.R. 51 passed in a 216 to 208 vote, largely along party lines. The measure would not only make the District of Columbia a state, but it would also give it voting representation in the House and 2 senators in Congress. Currently, Delegate ELEANOR Holmes Norton represents D.C., but does not have any voting rights. If the bill passes in the Senate, D.C. will be renamed Washington Douglas Commonwealth. Today, Norton, who sponsored the measure, spoke on the House floor in support of the bill.
But D.C. residents are taxed without representation and cannot consent to the laws under which they, as American citizens, must live. The state of Washington, D.C. would consist of 66 of the 68 miles of the present-day federal district. The federal district would be 2 square miles, and Congress would retain plenary authority over it. H.R. 51 complies with the Constitution, including the Admissions Clause, the District Clause, and the 23rd Amendment. The Admissions Clause gives Congress the authority to admit new states. All 37 new states were admitted by Congress. No state was admitted by constitutional amendment.
The White House, U.S. Capitol, and National Mall would remain under federal control if the measure becomes law. Celebrate Earth Day with NASA. It's hosting a series of free virtual events, from panel discussions to scavenger hunts. There's something for everyone. This year's theme is called Connected by Earth.
We've lined up speakers to talk for today and yesterday. We actually kicked off things yesterday, and our theme yesterday was about water. But the overall NASA theme is Connected by Earth. And we've got some great resources for everyone of all ages. And during today and yesterday, we actually invited students from across the country to attend, and educators.
The events will be available until the 24th on NASA's website. The agency is also hosting a tree challenge event for youngsters. And we'll be back with more news in a moment. Stay with us.
I moved to Florida with literally pennies in my pocket and a prayer. I needed a new start. Dacian looks like a very typical 3-year-old until you ask him, "What's your name? How old are you?" My son has a lot of behaviors that would show as being autistic. Most kids can tolerate a variety of foods, but unfortunately for Dacian, everything has to be organic and raw. I wasn't ashamed to go to the food pantries. It's expensive to eat healthy, and nutrition is very important to Dacian's health. The healthy, organic food that we receive dramatically helped his social skills. Most people would say, she really doesn't have much of a life. But to me, I have everything right there next to me and my son.
Welcome back. Prince George's officials respond to a group of Fort Washington residents' litter bug concerns. As CTV reported yesterday, John Pierre is upset about the amount of trash in his neighbor's yard on Clear Creek Drive. He says he's complained to the county for more than a year. DPI says it received 2 complaints about this incident in March and issued a notice for code violations. The owner was given a month to address these issues.
This is every week, every single week. It's not a day that you don't come out here and see some trash on the curb.
Okay, sir.
And where you think a lot of that trash goes? It goes in the storm drains.
DPI says if the violations continue, the owner could be fined at least $250. Prince George's could soon see more bike-friendly, walkable, and transit-accessible communities in the county. A regional planning board approved a list of 11 bike and pedestrian projects to receive funding through the Transportation Land Use Connection Program. 3 of the 11 projects are right here in Prince George's. They include a multi-use trail and transit access plan in College Park, a Greenbelt Road Corridor plan, and an Anacostia Gateway Connector. The program is designed to help increase bike and pedestrian safety.
In many cases, pedestrian and bicycle access projects that are going to make it easier for people to bike, particularly people who may not have access to a car or people who don't want to have access to a car. So these are projects that sort of do the preliminary planning so that in cases of pedestrian and bicycle improvements, ultimately it can lead to the design and construction of sidewalks and trails and crosswalks. Things to really sort of increase safety and make it more comfortable for people to walk or to bike.
Total funding for the 11 projects is about $600,000. A proposal to widen portions of I-270 and the Capitol Beltway in Montgomery County is delayed again. According to Maryland Matters, a losing bidder for the project is protesting, making the contract unlikely to go before the Board of Public Works until July. The pre-development contract with Accelerate Maryland Partners, the consortium picked for the project, was supposed to get the go-ahead in March or April. The plan has been a top priority of Governor Larry Hogan's Department of Transportation. It's not known who filed the protest or why, but speculation has centered around the Capital Express Group. The University of Maryland officially inaugurates its 34th president. UMD is celebrating Darryl Pines all week with a series of events. A parade was hosted on campus yesterday in his honor. A ceremony was also held earlier today, where many speakers from Governor Larry Hogan to U.S. Congressman Steny Hoyer congratulated Pines on his accomplishments.
Your selection last year as president represents the latest iteration in a long and storied career at the university that has spanned more than a quarter of a century. As a longtime member of the faculty, as chair of the Department of Aerospace Engineering, and as dean of the Clark School of Engineering, you have given so much in service to this wonderful institution. Now, as its president, you lead a world-class research university.
Pines assumed presidency in 2020. Well, let's get a quick check on our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight, partly cloudy with lows in the 30s. Tomorrow, mostly sunny with highs in the 60s. Saturday, rain likely with highs around 67 degrees. Sunday, rain again likely, highs in the 60s. And that wraps up our CTV News update. Join us again tomorrow at 4:30. Have a good night.